Hey guys, how's it going? I'm gonna set up this room real quick and then we can get started. So let me just finish setting this room up, and once everything is all good to go, I will send you guys the links. So let me just finish setting this room up, guys, and then once I'm done, I will get started with our analysis. So let's see, today's March 14th. Wow, this month is flying by, guys. So let's see. Oh, it's set up there. Set up there. All right, cool. Let me just grab this link and then we can get started. So let me check out the charts real quick. All right, so we got no zones here for the 10-minute on US 30. Just waiting for these to come up so we can start looking for some scalps. Market's gonna be pretty slow because it is Sunday. Market's barely opening up. So we do have the Sunday fun day entry right here though. Let's see how far does this go. Just leave this marked up right here, just in case we decide to take a late entry off this. I'll be checking the market sentiment as well. So let me just pull up the market sentiment real quick. Sentiment. Sentiment is still 80% short right now. So it looks like there's still a ton of people shorting US 30. So it might not even come down. So I'm not going to take that. But I'm going to go ahead and send this link out to you guys and then we can get started. So let me send this link over. Chart analysis. All right, so those links are sent out. Let me send this to the Facebook real quick. And then I think we should be good. Facebook right there. Send this out to our email list real quick. Link. All right, got that sent out. Now just for the Facebook real quick, and then the Instagram, then we should be good to go, guys. Got that on the Facebook. Lastly, the Instagram real quick. All right, send this link out. All right, guys, I think we're good. So I got this on the Instagram, Facebook, I think everywhere for the most part. Let me just pull up the chat, see who's in here real quick before we get started. All right, cool. So happy Sunday, guys. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. It was a nice relaxing weekend. I didn't really look at the charts at all this weekend since it was a crazy week last week. So I'm anticipating the market to be pretty smooth this week, or a lot smoother than last week. Obviously last week we had the stimulus coming out. I think some of you guys might have received your stimulus over the the weekend. I didn't, unfortunately, not yet. But yeah, so I think now that that's set out, I think things should start to smoothen out. I was just following US 30 today. Obviously we had that strong bullish move last week, And I was hoping that the sentiment would start to drop. It's still 80% short. So we might see some unusual movement up until tomorrow morning once the New York Stock Exchange actually opens. But I mean, until then, we're probably just going to have a continuation of what happened last week until there's actually something that, starts to move the market. Let me check the news real quick to see how the news is looking for this week. So this week we have some China news coming out in about 7 minutes. I don't think it's going to affect the market that much, but it can. And then other than that, I don't think there's really too much news. I mean, there's FOMC. It's like their monthly economic projections. We have this every month. So this is going to cause volatility in the market, which is going to be a good thing for us because we want the market to actually move and not just be flat so that we can actually catch some moves, throughout the week. So just a reminder, hopefully you guys had a great weekend and we're ready to kick this week off. So let me check the chat and see who's here. And then I'll start analyzing for this trading week. So, hey, how's it going, Rick? Hey, Caparos. Caparos said, I can see a cross on daily MACD on Nasdaq. So I'll look at Nasdaq for you in a little bit, Caparos. I'll add you to the list. I'll just make a list here. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And I'll look for questions first before I analyze the Forex pairs. And then after that, I'll just go down the entire Forex list and I'll mark up the charts for you guys. So let's see. Caparos wants me to take a look at Nasdaq. Dylan said, Shawn, my man, lead us to greatness. Also, thanks for everything. Got real comfortable using the K2 indicators while I was trading cryptos. Yeah, that was pretty good. So Dylan over here, he actually caught some nice moves with so if you guys are in the premium, you guys know what I'm talking about. But if you guys aren't, so Dylan was mentioning Litecoin. So over the weekend, he was looking for some entries using Litecoin. He was, wondering if he can catch some certain movements, whenever price, crosses the specific price point. And I mean, technically you can, for me, cryptos is very speculative. So it's hard to really tell if something is really there or not. But if you guys see something, you guys can definitely capitalize on it because you guys can see right here, this is what Dylan was looking like. This is actually pretty spot on. So he used the pivots with the price point, right? So when the pivots cross the price point, like for example here, pivots cross the price point that he marked up, it pushes up slightly so he can make some profit. And then right here, when it crosses below, he took some sells and he made some money off that too. So looking at Dylan's profits over here, pretty smart, pretty spot on and smart move by him, taking this, right? It's a pretty nice profit over the weekend. So he did take his Litecoin yesterday and it, added up to some nice profit today. So that's a nice work for that, Dylan. And yeah, definitely Dylan. So if you want to schedule a one-on-one with me, just let me know and then I can set it up. I'm generally available during the week from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. basically after our morning session. And then, if we find a date that works for you and a date that works for me as well, we can set that up. I'm pretty much, I think I have a lot of this week booked up already, but we can see if there's like a specific date that works for you and I'll make some time for you so that we can, look over your strategy and I can help you improve, whatever you're trying to apply. Because obviously I create these indicators and I've been trading for so long that I can usually find a solution to, any strategy that you guys are applying. So other than that, let me just go through the chat real quick and see what else we got here. Hey, Alan, how's it going? Hey, Raymar. Hey, Salim, how's it going, bro? Mark, hey, how's it going? Mark, so watch out for cryptos. They have super huge. Yeah, I know exactly. That's why I don't normally trade cryptos because of the spread and because of their unusual movement, right? If you guys look at cryptos, they kind of move super randomly. Like they're not like indices where they move kind of smooth or even like Forex pairs where they move smoothly, right? If you look at cryptos, they're kind of all over the place. So looking at Bitcoin here, you can see Bitcoin is moving like super slow and then all of a sudden it just starts to shoot up. And even on the shorter time frames, it's kind of erratic. You can't really I guess depending on where you're looking. So looking at Bitcoin here, if you're looking at Bitcoin when and I'm just looking at Bitcoin because this is one of the bigger cryptos, but if you're looking at Bitcoin, you can probably catch some moves within this area right here. But once price breaks outside of this little range here, because the reason why I like this range right here is because price pretty much, it bounces back and forth. It moves similar to how Forex pairs move and other assets that have long-term data. But looking at Bitcoin, for example, let me just rewind that again. So looking at this is fine. But if you go over here, it moves so randomly, right? You never know when it's going to bounce around. Like a good time to trade Bitcoin is when it dips back down. Like for example, right here. So price pushes up, it dips down, and you can trade within these little areas, right? Because it starts to create patterns. However, when it's just going bullish and then you just have these random drops here, it becomes hard for you guys to really analyze because it's pretty much all speculation. You know, if you go back to Bitcoin far enough, like let's see, let's go on the daily. So like for example, over here on the daily chart, if you're trading Bitcoin like so far behind over here, I mean, obviously this is a long time ago, but if you trade Bitcoin, like even up until, let's see, this is where that big drop happened in 2017, probably from 2017 up until, let's see, when it started to break this structure again, same structure over here, from 2017 to 2020, it was all pretty much speculation, right? Price would just spike up, it would spike down, and you wouldn't even know what was going on. Like there was no news to really indicate what was causing Bitcoin to spike around so much. But now that it's becoming more, widely traded, it's a bit easier for you to trade it. But me personally, I just don't trade it for that specific reason. There's just too much speculation. And I don't like trading things that I'm not 100% about, right? You guys know how I trade. I'm very conservative. And that's why we have a really high win rate here at K2, because I only take trades when I'm 100% sure that they're going to hit. So, just keep that in mind. But other than that, I mean, if you guys can find a way to trade Bitcoin, then, by all means do it. Like Dylan's figured out a way with Litecoin. And if he can keep killing it, I mean, that's better for him because there's less competition in the market since majority of people just buy and hold anyways, like myself. So anyways, back to the charts over here. Let me see if there's any other questions before we get started. Let's see. Luis said, looking forward to making money this week. Yeah, definitely, Luis. I'm hoping that this week starts to smoothen out, especially after the, the crazy movements last week. See, Mark said, bro, maybe I need to do a mentoring session just to book you up, man, so we can talk. Yeah, definitely, Mark. Let me know, and we can set it up. Obviously, how busy I've been, so it's kind of hard for me to really just hang out. Like we would need to actually set up a meeting date for us to talk, because I know you have that strategy that you're applying to, and we have a couple other things that you want to talk about. So we'll set up a date, Mark, and then we can talk. Hey, what's up, Kyle? Kyle said, hi, Shawn. Do you think the markets are going to be better this week? I think so, Kyle. So I just mentioned earlier that, last week, a lot of the crazy movements happened because of the random stimulus talk, right? So the stimulus was passed. It's starting to be sent out this week. So I think with that said, there's not really much that's really going to cause, any crazy movements, unless there's something that happens, like some crazy COVID breakthrough or something like that. Well, I mean, yeah, so there's always going to be COVID news, right? COVID is going to cause volatility in the market. Whenever there's some COVID news that comes out, it's going to affect certain markets. Like, for example, right here, like Fauci points to COVID surges in Europe. So, I mean, this will probably affect certain other things. Like if you're trading European Forex pairs, like the Euro, GBP, CHF, the Swiss franc, like those, it might affect the market. But I think overall, if we're just trading like US 30, not so much. So yeah, Kyle, hopefully it starts to move smoother. I think it's going to move smoother. So that's pretty much what I'm waiting for. I'm basically just waiting for US 30 to drop because, like I mentioned last week, guys, one thing to keep in mind, like last week, one of the strong indicators that we used in identifying these bullish moves for US 30 was the sentiment, right? So sentiment has been short all last week. So if all you did was trade the opposite of what retail traders are trading, like if you guys are familiar with market sentiment, if you look here, this is going to indicate where all the retail traders are trading within the IG broker, which is one of the biggest brokers worldwide. So, using their data here, if you can see where everyone's trading and you traded the complete opposite of everyone, like that's a retail trader, then you could have made a ton of money here. Cause like looking at the market here from, let's see, if I just zoom out from here on the 4th, looking at this here. So last week, the week started on March 7th, right? So March 7th, right here, this whole area, let's see. Okay, perfect. So like right here, all the way up to here, people were just shorting the market, right? So actually, let me just fix this so it's not all weird. Let me see. I'm just going to use the measuring tool. Yeah, date range. So the 7th, basically from right here up to here. So if you guys followed the sentiment that we were looking at all last week, like literally everybody was shorting, right? If you looked at the sentiment, it was like 80% short the entire week, like between 75 to 80%. So if you just did the opposite of what all retail traders were doing, you could have made a ton of profit because you just did the opposite of everybody, right? Because everyone was shorting. And while everyone was shorting, if you took buys, you would have made a ton of profit. So This is something that we're probably going to keep in mind when we're analyzing US 30 and like other assets as well, to determine, you know, which bias should we have, because you generally don't want to trade in the direction of all the retail traders, because majority of retail traders fail at trading, right? So you want to do the opposite of them. So, all right, that's enough of that. Let me see if there's any other questions before I continue. And yeah, no problem, Kyle. So I think that's about it for now. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to start off this weekly chart analysis by going down the Forex pairs. If you guys are familiar with how this session works, basically, this isn't really much of an analysis session because the market is just opening. The market just opened about 5 hours ago. So as you can see, market volatility is still very, very low, right? So with it being so low, there's not really going to be much opportunity for us to take any trades right now because there's not really much movement. So like the last thing you want to do is enter a trade, and then we enter London session, which will be in about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, in about 5 hours. And then price ends up reversing on you, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to identify market structure for the week so that we know where to trade and where not to trade. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. Sorry, let me send out the Zoom link for you guys here in the premium. And then, I mean, the Zoom link's not too necessary today because we're not really scalping unless I see something. If I see something, I'll call it, but probably not tonight because we're still waiting for the market to stabilize a bit. But I did send the link out to you guys in case you guys wanted to hop on the Zoom, and you guys are able to hop on. So let me just get that there. It's sent out. And now I'm going to go down the Forex list. So basically what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to go down this entire list right here. I'm going to mark up market structure for the week so that we know where to trade and where not to trade. And for example, here, I'll show you what I mean by that. So just looking at odd cat over here, you guys can see that, sorry, let me fix this. I'm just going to let everyone into the room right now. All right, so like looking at odd cattle here for an example, the reason why we draw this market structure is because you'll know exactly where to trade and where not to trade, right? So for example, if you're taking a sell here, you're not gonna want to hold that sell once it reaches the support because price can easily reverse from this point, right? So if you guys have this market structure marked up, you'll already know where to exit your trade. Like for example, here, if you're entering a buy right here, you probably don't want to keep holding that buy once it reaches this point, right? Because it'll reverse on you. So this is where you'll exit the trade. And then once it breaks structure again above here, you know, you can re-enter. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be marking up these market structures for us so that we know where to trade and where not to trade for this upcoming trading week. So I'll just mark up the chart, take that off, and then I'll start this from scratch. So I'm just going to zoom through these real quick. If you guys have any questions, just put them in the chat and then I'll analyze those more in detail once I am done drawing up this structure, because obviously we just want to get this out of the way so that we can start looking for trades. And then we can start looking for actual trades once this is all done. So I'm just going to draw that up. Draw this right there. Draw this right there. And draw this. This is a big zone. Right there. So in this situation right here, where we don't have a lower zone, I go in the higher time frames like the 8 hour to find that lower zone right there so that I know exactly where are the dangerous areas to be trading. So let's mark this up right here as well. Then down here. All right, perfect. So let's go back to the 4 hour. And basically that's how I start off my analysis. I start off my analysis drawing market structure. Once I draw my market structure, I turn on my momentum indicator so that I can identify where to trade. So for example, here, if we're looking for specific trades here, like for example, we have a sell signal here. This is how I would analyze it. So I would analyze this by looking for the most recent rejection point, which would be up here. Then I would look for the direction of price, right? And to do that, I look at where momentum is pushing. So for example, here, rejection, sell signal, this would indicate that momentum is coming downwards, right? And that's true because price comes down, tests the structure. So at this point right here, price is at a juncture where price can go either way. Price can either reject above here, or it can break below here and continue dropping even further, right? So this is how I analyze the chart. And this is how I weigh my pros and cons, whether I want to take a buy or a sell. So for example, here, if price breaks through here and continues down further and closes right here, then I would take a short position right here because this is just the same pattern repeating itself from up here, right? So for example, up here, we have the rejection point from here. It's the same exact pattern, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So right here, rejection, rejection, sell signal, drop down to structure, drop down to structure, right? It's the same exact pattern that just repeated itself. So what happened when price broke the structure down here? As soon as price broke structure, it dropped even further. And that's what we're waiting for right here. We're waiting for price to break and close past the structure so that we can keep writing it down even further, right? So that's exactly what we're looking for here. So as you can see again right here, price broke structure again. And then what happened from this point? Price dropped to the next structure down here. So that's exactly what we're waiting for here. So until that happens, we're not going to be entering any trades for the odd CAD. We're just waiting for that confirmation to take that trade. That way we know 100% that that trade's probably going to play out. Because, you know, this is a game of probabilities, guys. You guys have to weigh your pros and cons and identify, you know, what's a strong trade and what's a weak trade so that you guys can continue increasing your wins and minimizing your losses. So that's it for odd CAD right there. I'm going to go down the list and I'm going to look at the next one. Next one's Usdchf. I'm not going to analyze this unless you guys ask for it because there's no point. You know, I'm just going to draw my zones. And then once I'm done drawing my zones, if you guys have questions, I can analyze this deeper, just like how I did for OddCAD. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my zones down here and look for any possible setups. So these lower zones down here are kind of relevant, guys. The reason for that is because price is way up here, right? We don't expect price to drop all the way down here, you know, anytime soon. So let me just finish drawing these zones. And I just saw that alert for US 30. So I'll go ahead and pull up US 30 real quick and we'll see how this plays out. Nice. Ricardo said start of my 50K funded with a small $50 win. Nice icebreaker. Yeah, definitely. Congrats, Ricardo. Yeah, just stay consistent, Ricardo. Your main goal this month, or yeah, this month is to end in positive, right? As long as you end in positive profit, they'll refund you your challenge fee, and then you're basically trading risk free at that point, Ricardo. So just keep that in mind, right? Look at the long term goal. Like, don't take any dumb trades because a lot of people. I mean, I hate to say it, but like whenever people get funded, they get way too overly confident, and then what happens? They take dumb trades. And they end up losing their funded account after like the first month. So just keep that in mind, Ricardo. Stick to your plan, right? Stick to the same plan you followed when you got funded and remain funded long term. Don't get too big headed. Don't get too overly confident. Just stick to your game plan. If you have a trading plan, stick to it and don't change anything because, you know, obviously if that trading plan got you to get funded, you know, it works. So just continue to do what you were doing before and you should be fine. So great work on that, Ricardo. Proud of you. You've been in K2 for a while, and I know you've been trying to get that funded account for some time now. So you finally got it. So big congrats to you. You know, your consistency finally paid off, right? You kept sticking to your trading plan, and you got funded finally. So I'm glad that you made it to that point. So let's see. I'm going to continue drawing this over here. And once I'm done drawing this, we'll move on to the next one. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, we will continue looking for the zones here. So let me go to US 30 real quick. We have a pending signal that I saw. Right there, pending buy signal. And I'm still looking for some scalps here, guys. So my main thing here is I'm looking for some scalps. However, I don't see any zones here. These blue zones are from the 1 minute chart. I don't really want to follow these. The only reason I follow this was because some of you guys mentioned in the chat, you know, some certain trades that appeared earlier today. Like, let's see. Yeah, so Joe over here, he mentioned that there was a couple entries that were available. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So like, for example, right here, the market opened right here on the 14th. You can see that there were a couple entries available, right? This red candle, there was a rejection off the pivot in the structure. And this is using the K2 Snipe strategy for you guys that are brand new here. So there's one entry that was available there, another one right here. And there's a couple right here as well, which I personally didn't take because like I mentioned, I'm waiting for the 10-minute zones. But like looking at these right here, if you took this trade, full TP right there, right? So full TP off that, again, right here, if you took this trade over here, another full TP. So whoever took these scalps earlier today, they made some pretty nice profit off this US 30. You know, pretty much over here, there's another trade that's running, currently active, which hasn't filled yet, or I mean, it hasn't finished. So I didn't take any of these trades, but if you guys did apply the strategy that, you know, everyone else in K2 is applying, they're technically still running right now. So just keep that in mind. But I'm going to hold tight because I'm not really trying to force any trades right now, especially with the market barely opening. So that looks good right there. Let's see. Ricardo said 82% win rate, not bad for a 6-month newbie, right, Ricardo? As long as you follow your trading plan, guys, you guys should be completely fine. Like if you guys look at the YouTube chat right now, Ricardo like joined K2 like not too long ago, and he, you know, he created his own trading plan, he stuck to it, and he finally got funded. So he's only been trading about 6 months, but he has an 82% win rate. You know, the main key here at K2 is to have a high win rate. As long as you guys continue to win and minimize your losses as much as possible, you guys should be successful. There's no excuse for it, right? But yeah, you know, going back to the profits from last week, I know some of you guys were like wondering because it was a slow week last week, so it was kind of choppy. But you know, just looking at everyone's profits here, everyone was still profiting last week, even though I didn't trade very much last week. Here's CT, here's Marcus, here's Dylan from this weekend. Jonathan over here made 900 on Friday. Salim over here made 322. You guys can see Salim right here in the chat as well. Joey right here, 400 bucks. Like it's not our normal big profits that we have, you know, every week, but you know, profit's profit, guys. You guys should be happy as long as you're making profit, because majority of people out there are not making profit. Majority of people are in the negative. So as long as you guys make any profit at all during the week, especially a choppy week like last week, you know, you guys should be happy because you're probably doing better than majority of other people out there. Even Cheryl, you know, Cheryl is usually locking in like a couple thousand. She only locked in about 1,800, which is nothing to complain about. But you guys can see that as long as you guys, like, just look at Cheryl's trades here. They're all blue, right? So as long as you guys stay consistent with your wins, you guys should be fine, you know, long-term here. And then you guys can see how, you know, everything works. Let's see. Peyton said 50K funded. Wonder what and how that means. So Peyton, funded means that a lot of us use FTMO. I'm not sure if you're familiar with FTMO, but that's what most of us use here. We use FTMO, which is a funding company. They give you money to trade. You keep 70% of the profits. You know, you can see here, this is how everyone in K2 is able to trade, you know, bigger positions, like making a couple $1,000 a day, versus, you know, some other people here who use a personal account. Like, let's see. So Marcus here is using a personal account. That's how he's making like 60 bucks. CT, if it has a .cash next to it, it's usually a FTMO account. That's how they're making like 300 bucks. And then, you know, like, Cheryl over here, she's making like $1,000. See how it says .cash after it? This is using FTMO, which is a funding company. So if you compare those to everyone else's profits, like Quen over here, Quen has .pro, so he's using a different broker. So this is all his personal money here. He's making a couple $100 off of that. You know, you look over here at Billy's. This is his personal account as well. Like you can see that it says DJI. That's not FTMO because it doesn't have .cash after it. Tam over here, she locks in a couple $100 using her personal account. And then comparing that to someone else here who's using FTMO, like, let's see, this is Gerald, he's using a personal account. This is David, he's using a personal account as well. But let me see if I can find, like, Patricia over here. This is a personal account, US 30. She made 3,000 the other day. But looking at, like, yeah, okay, so Cheryl here. Let me scroll over here real quick and I'll show you the difference. So like, you can see some people here using personal accounts, they make like 3,000. But if you look at someone else who's trading a bigger account, like, let's see, I'm trying to find someone who's using FTMO and made some like really big profits last week. Like, actually let's scroll up a little further because last week was a slow week. Like looking at, I mean, everyone here is making profit. I'm not trying to point anything out. Like here's a Trell. So Trell made like 672, right? It says .cash. He's using a funded account. Same with John over here. You know, he made 2,000 something using a FTMO account. So you can see that there's a bit of a difference here depending on, you know, what type of account you're using. But for the most part, Payton, it's basically just a funded account. So if you want to look at what I mean by that, I'll just put the link here in the chat and then you can take a look. So let's see. I'm just going to respond to you in the group, and then you can take a look at the website, Peyton. Nice. Payne said, I'm a fresh newbie, by the way, like fresh. No, definitely, bro. It's all good. We're glad to have you here. So let's see, Peyton. I'm gonna mark you right there. I'm gonna send the link right there. So if you look at FTMO right there on that website, it'll explain to you what the funding means. But all right, so going back to what I was doing earlier, I'm gonna go ahead and mark up all these charts real quick. Once I'm done marking up the charts, then I can analyze them. I just want to make sure that our zones are on proper before we get started for the trading week. It's a brand new trading week, so I'm going to draw brand new zones. Let's see, we got that marked up. And you guys see these crazy movements in the market, like for odd NZD, these big red candles. This is why we don't trade on market open, because the market is moving a little crazy right now. I think the first Forex trade that I'll call out will be probably around 10 p.m. So in about 2.5 hours, I'll call some Forex trades if I see anything. Yeah, no problem, Peyton. If you have any specific questions, I can help you with it, but it's pretty basic. FTMO is just a funding company. So you just prove to them that you can trade. And then once you do that, they give you a funded account, and then you keep 70% of the profit. So it's pretty nice if you're actually profitable, because you can trade risk-free pretty much. You don't have to risk your own money, and you keep a percentage of your profits at the end of every month. I know a lot of people, like there's certain people that don't like FTMO, and people have their specific reasons, but I've been using FTMO since last year. No problems with them at all. Payouts are nice and straightforward. They don't have any issues, so I continue to use them. But I'm just going to keep going down these lists over here, guys, and I'm just going to mark everything up. So if you guys have questions, just put them in the chat, and I'll take a look. Otherwise, I will just be setting this up for the trading week before I start looking for trades. I'm just gonna mark one big one right here because this is irrelevant. Need a higher zone there. Nothing on the 8 hour, just daily. Nothing on the daily, weekly. All right. There. That. All right, guys. So like for the new people just joining the room, I see a lot of people are just joining right now. So like I mentioned, today I'm just drawing these zones up, guys, so that we can prepare for the trading week. But if you guys have questions, you guys can put them in the YouTube chat, and I can take a look once I'm done drawing up these zones. I'm about halfway down the list. So once I'm done with this, I can start going over specific things. And I still have to look at Nasdaq. So I forgot who asked for that earlier. Let's see. Yeah, Kapara. So I did see your question about Nasdaq earlier. So I will look at Nasdaq after I'm done drawing these zones. Sorry, I forgot to look at that before I started, but we will get to that shortly. And you guys can see from like, having these indicators here, the K2SR indicators, it makes things a whole lot easier when drawing these zones. You don't have to go and do all the heavy work. Like obviously I know drawing zones has been pretty difficult for a lot of people, but if you guys have these indicators, it makes things a whole lot simpler, because you don't even have to think about it. You just draw the zones over the K2 zones, and then you're pretty much good to go for the most part. All right, let's see. Anything else here? Zone. No, your cat's messy. I'm not gonna mess with this. I might have to take this off my watch list. It's just too much of a messy pair. Usdchf. And if you guys aren't familiar, I did update the watch list on the website, guys. So if you guys want to update, if you guys want to download my current watch list right here, you guys can just go to the K2 website. You can download it for free. It's just going to have all the Forex pairs I trade and the indices and the Bitcoin that I look at. So if you guys want a watch list that's already set up for you, you don't have to do anything. You can just download it, then upload it to your trading view. Man, EG is super messy. I hate when pairs are like this when it's so messy. It's kind of hard for us to really look for these zones here. So let me just finish drawing these here. Let's turn this on. It's probably gonna be easier. And one thing that I'm trying to look for, guys, so I'm probably going to update these K2SR zones where we can put, where we can change the time frame. Because I know a lot of you guys who are scalping, you guys like to use that new strategy that CT and Marcus mentioned, where they draw the zones on the 1 minute, and then they take their trades on the 8 minute. So I'm going to be working on that this week. Hopefully I can get it out to you guys at some point so that you guys can apply that strategy a lot simpler. So that's it for Euro GBP. What's the next one? EJ. It seems like all these zones are like super messy from last week. All the unusual movements caused a lot of these zones to be super choppy. Normally these zones are pretty smooth and they're like spread out pretty nicely, like kind of how it is up here. But down here, super choppy from last week's movements, which is normal. It happens sometimes. I think all the JPY pairs are going to keep going up though. So just keep that in mind, guys. I mean, I'm going to keep it in mind. I'm going to keep reminding you guys throughout the week, but these JPY pairs are probably going to keep going up because the JPY is super, super weak right now. I don't know why, but it is super weak. So we're probably going to see EJ push up to this structure up here. It's a nice 189 pip move right there. So EJ is probably going to go up. AJ is probably going to go up. CJ is probably going to go up. See this huge move right here, guys? So just keep that in mind. I'll keep reminding you guys throughout the week, but the JPY overall is just super, super weak this week. Not just this week, but overall. All right, so I'm kind of tired of drawing these zones. I'm just gonna go and see if these zones are still the same from last week. If they're the same, there's no point in me redrawing them, right? So a lot of these are still in the same place because price didn't really move too much last week. So GA right there. GC right here. I'm just going to redraw a couple of these here. See this real quick. Delete that. All right. There. We just need that lower one right here. Let's see what we got. All right, solid. Looks like a lot of the Canadian crosses are kind of choppy, like GC super choppy, EC super choppy. Like these are super choppy here. So I don't even bother with a lot of these. Let's go back to the 8 hour. Yeah, you guys can see here, if I take this off, you can see that GC is super choppy right here, and EC is super choppy as well. So I don't really mess with these too much. Thinking about possibly taking them off the watch list, but we'll see. I'm not going to take them off just yet. Everything here is good. If there's no need to update, I'm not going to update them. It's kind of a waste of our time here if we just update them for no reason. So like I was mentioning, these JPY pairs are probably going to be bullish. GJ is probably going to push up pretty heavy. So I'll be looking for some specific movements here. Like this is probably going to push up. It's like 300 pips. So 300 pips there for GJ. EJ over here, it's about 200 pips as well. Yeah, 200 pips. So keep an eye on the JPY pairs, guys. I'll keep an eye too. But if you guys are looking at those, I would have a bullish bias this week for the most part. I've been following the news, so that's how I know. I've been following a lot of economic news this week, you know, with regard to the major currencies. So we'll see how that plays out. Hoping we have a good week this week though, because last week was like way too slow. Super boring for us. All right, after this, I'm going to go back to US 30, see if there's any entries available. And then I'll go back to my list here. So I left off on GU, go back to US 30. I'm mainly just looking for zones. If there's any zones up there, then there's no zones. So you can see the zones are down here. If you took any of these rejections right here for the buy, you would have made some nice profit. But otherwise, there's just no zones right now. These zones are from the 1 minute, but I don't trust these zones, so I'm not going to use them. I was just using that for analysis for the others who use these when they use that 1 and 8 minute strategy, the 1 minute zones, and then entry off the 8 minute. Basically what Marcus was applying. So here's GU. Let's see, I got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pairs to go through right now. Just drawing these zones. And once I'm done with that, I can answer some questions. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and put them in the YouTube chat right now. I'm almost done looking for all of these zones here for these Forex pairs. So once I'm done looking at these, I can analyze anything that you guys need for the rest of the session. Because I'm not really trading too much right now. I'm waiting for the market to pick up. Once it picks up, then I will start looking for trades. But if you guys have something that you want me to analyze, just put the pair down in the chat, and then I can analyze them for you. Because I'm here to help you guys, right? Just keep that in mind, guys. I'm here to help you guys out. You know, as much as this takes a lot of time out of my day, I actually like helping you guys out here. Because it does help me out as well. Because sometimes when you guys ask me a question, I start to see things that I wasn't even looking for. Like there's been a lot of times here where you guys have given me questions and I spotted some really good trades and I'm like, dang, if you guys didn't bring that question up, I probably wouldn't even looked at that specific pair. Like more specifically, the exotic pairs. A lot of you guys here are international. So you guys always ask me about exotic pairs that I don't necessarily trade. And there's been a couple times where we identified some pretty good trades that someone else was looking at and I gave my analysis and they were like home run hits. So it could be beneficial, not just to that person, but it could be beneficial to everyone else here as well. If we look at something that we don't normally look at. So looking at NZD/USD here, see if there's anything else here for me to mark up. Another zone there, another zone there. We're good. All right, NU, UCAD. And I don't think we have any positions open from last week, guys, right? I don't know if you guys have anything in mind that is still open, but I think we closed everything last week. So I don't think we have any active trades, running at this time. So I'm looking for the upper zones right now. Okay. So we got this one right here. All right, solid. So USDCHF, J. So like I mentioned with the other JPY pairs, guys, I think UJ is also going to be pretty bullish this this week. You know, we'll keep an eye on it and we'll see how these move. So let's speed out this zone right there, this one right there, this one right here. So I'll mark this up to see where the where that next area is. I think we have it up here already, right? Yeah. So just looking at this here, guys, like I mentioned, UJ, EJ, GJ, they're probably going to be all bullish this week because the JPY is super, super weak. So just looking at this here, you can see that this is a big move up. Let's see how far. This move up right here is going to be about 250 pips. So that's it for the Forex pairs, guys. I'm done looking at that now. So now I'm open to questions. So if you guys have questions, put them in the chat. If you guys want me to analyze anything, just, you know, drop the pair, drop the time frame, and I can analyze anything for you guys. So the first question up is Nasdaq for Kaparos. So I'm going to go over to Nasdaq real quick, and then I will analyze it from scratch to show you guys how I analyze specific pairs. So Nasdaq is US 100. So here's a naked chart. I'm going to go on the 1 hour, zoom out. Here's a brand new naked chart. First thing I do is I turn on my K2 SR indicator. So first thing I do is I turn that on and I draw my zones so that I can identify market structure. This is probably one of the hardest things for a lot of people to identify because they don't know where to put their zones, right? If you guys have the K2 SR indicators, this pretty much takes out all the guesswork. And you guys don't have to do really much guessing, you know, where the zones are, because you just outline the zones that the K2 SR draws for you, and they draw perfectly marked up zones for you guys. So here we go. Turn that off. And looking at this here, you guys can see that we have some perfectly drawn zones, right? So these zones have been drawn since February 23rd of this year. Price broke into the structure, and you can see that price goes from zone to zone, right? And this is why we draw these, because price breaks into the zone, rejects off this point, swings up, comes back down, swings down to this point right here. And if you guys know where these rejection points are, you guys will know exactly, you know, where to trade and where not to trade, because obviously you don't want to trade where price is going to be rejecting from. So looking at the Nasdaq 100 right here, I'm going to turn on the momentum indicator, and then we will be analyzing this from this perspective. So looking at this here, we have a rejection from this point. Currently, we have a bullish bias because the most recent signal was a buy signal right here. You can see that price broken close past structure right here. So what we kind of see with this moving over is that price is probably going to, so at this point now, price can either reject off this point and continue back up, or it can break below and drop even further, right? So two different areas right there where price can move. But, you know, just looking at this, how you were looking at, let's see what you said earlier, Kaparos. So Kaparos said, I can see a cross on the daily MACD on Nasdaq. So let me just check that real quick. So you use the MACD. I'm trying to figure out, you know, what you were looking at there. So let's see MACD on the daily over here. Okay, yeah. So you see it swinging into a bullish move right here, right, Kaparos? Because I see that crossover right there, right? I don't necessarily use MACD, but I'm just looking at this from Kaparos's perspective. He has a bullish bias right here, and you can see that this lines up perfectly with our indicator over here, right? So you can see that we got a buy signal here, and now it's crossing over to a bullish move. So this lines up with Kaparos's his analysis, because it lines up perfectly, right? Like for example, here, price crossed over right here with the MACD, the K2 momentum signal. It confirmed that bearish move, and it dropped from this point a total of like 13,000 pips. Huge drop right there, right? So Kaparos over here, he's identifying this as a bullish move as well. So we have this bullish candle right here, and you know what could happen from here is once this crosses, it'll confirm that bullish move, and this will probably swing up. You know, pretty nice move there. So Kaparos is looking at this from a long-term perspective, and you guys can see that if you use multiple confirmations, it definitely helps. So this is definitely a pretty decent analysis off this, Kaparos. I'm going to go ahead and look at this again on the 1 hour. And then you can see from this point, this is what I meant about price either going up or going down, because price is currently, it's basically a break and retest, right? So just looking at this here, we have a bullish bias. Price broke structure. It's coming down for a retest right here. And then once it retests this, it can do one of two things, right? It can either reject off this point and continue back up, which is probably what's going to happen, or it can continue farther down here and break this structure and possibly reverse down for a bearish move. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Looking at your analysis, Kaparos, you're on the daily chart, right? So here on the daily chart, this candle doesn't close for another 18 hours. So until market swap tomorrow, we're probably not going to know what really happens with this daily candle right here, because your MACD below, let me go back to your MACD. So looking at your MACD below, this isn't going to close until tomorrow. So this like pending green candle right here, or a green, little bar, it's not going to finish completing until 18 hours from now. So it's a long time. So your analysis is fine, Kaparos, but I would look back at this tomorrow. Like go back to this tomorrow during the market swap, which would be in 18 hours, and see what happens. See if this closes with the crossover, right? Because then you can confirm that that's really going to push. But just looking at this from this perspective, it lines up with the momentum indicator. So your analysis is probably going to line up perfectly by tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, I would just stick to some scalps right now until the market smoothens out. So just looking at this on the 1 hour, this is the 1 hour. I'll go on the 10-minute now, and I'll show you, my analysis for scalping to see if there was any entries that were available either today or sometime recently. So I'm going to take everything off the chart here. I'm going to turn on the K2 SR indicator. And it looks like, it doesn't really look like there was any entries that were available right now. It looks like the most recent entry was like last week down here. Like there's nothing above there. But looking from last week, it looks like there was a couple entries here. So looking at this here, we have the rejection off this pivot and structure right here with this red candle right here. So move this over. Looking at this here, let's see. We got this rejection from here, and this is using the K2 Snipe Strategy, guys, right? So if you guys are brand new here, this is going to be the K2 Snipe Strategy. This is what we scalp, and this is how pretty much everyone locks in, all these profits here. So looking at all the profits here, everyone here is using the same strategy. It's a K2 Snipe Strategy. I'll go over it right now. So this is a K2 Snipe Strategy on the 10-minute. First, you want to confirm a wick rejection off K2 pivot, which can be any pivot. Second, confirm a wick rejection off K2 SR zone. And lastly, just confirm wick rejection off K2 pivot does not touch candle body. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to rewind this to that specific candle right there. And we'll look at the requirements here. So first, you want to confirm a wick rejection off K2 pivot. Right here, this wick is rejecting off this yellow pivot right here, right? Which is a yellow pivot for the K2 pivots. Next, you want to confirm a wick rejection off the K2 SR zone, which would be this zone right here. And last, you just want to make sure that this pivot isn't touching the body. So the pivot isn't touching the body, and it's good to go. What we do from this point is we enter a long position here. I don't know what the sweet spot is for Nasdaq. I think it's like 250, right? You guys don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it is. Anyways, if that's the case, then we let this run, and you guys can see here that it swings back up and goes to full TP right there. So that's kind of what we're looking for right now. We just don't have it playing out right now yet, right? We don't have any entries above here. Let's see, Ivan mentioned something over here. Yeah, so Ivan, he was looking at this on the 1 minute. This is why I don't use the 1 minute, right? It's just too risky, because the problem with that, if you use the 1 minute, you kind of start to force trades. You force trades that aren't really there, which is fine. I mean, you guys can still make a ton of profit off that. Like looking at Marcus's profits over here. Let me go to Marcus real quick. So looking at Marcus's profits right here, he trades off the 1 minute, but he's still very, very accurate, right? So you guys can catch a lot of trades and actually kill it on the 1 minute. All I'm saying is that it becomes very risky. Like Marcus always sends me his charts here, and he's always hitting TP, and it does work. So this shows that it works, right? It's just for me, I'm a very careful trader, so I don't like taking these risky trades. But you guys can see here, Marcus sends me his trades all day, and this dude's killing it, right? Straight to TP every single time. I personally don't like trading on the 1 minute because there's too much noise there. But just looking at his trades here, he has pretty consistent and solid results applying it on the 1 minute. So if you guys want to use it, you guys can, but I'm personally not going to recommend it because it's just too risky. So I don't see anything here on the 10 minute. If we see something later, I'll come back to it. But other than that, I think that's it for now. Hey Jay, how's it going, bro? No, you didn't miss you didn't miss US 30 just yet. So I'll look at US 30 now. Next question's from Jay. He wants me to take a look at US 30. If you guys have any other questions, put them in the chat and I can analyze anything for you guys. Otherwise, I've already looked at all the Forex pairs. I'll start to analyze those more in detail. And then I'll probably look at the indices as well for some scalps. But other than that, if we don't get too many questions tonight, I'll probably just call this an early session. We'll pick up back tomorrow. But if you guys do have questions, I'm here to help. So if you guys have anything, don't feel shy, just put your question in the chat. Or if you guys are scared to put your question, just put the pair, just put like Euro USD, GBP USD, and I'll take a look at it. You guys don't have to be very specific. All you need to show me is the pair that you want me to look at and specific time frame if that's specific or not. Because I generally mark it up on the 4 hour. So if that's too big, I can go on the shorter ones as well. So other than that, let's continue on. Yeah, no problem, Kaparos. Glad I could help with your Nasdaq analysis. So let's go back to the bigger time frame here. I'll look at US 30 for you real quick, Jay. So here's the thing with US 30, guys. This is being super manipulated, right? The reason why it keeps pushing up is because people keep entering sell. So look at this here at the sentiment. 80% of people are shorting the market. So obviously, if there's that many people shorting the market, what are the institutions and market makers going to do? They're going to keep pushing price up because they want these people to lose, right? Don't trade like the rest of the retail traders here, guys. If you guys keep trading like them, you're going to keep losing like them. So you guys got to be smart about it and analyze it from a psychological perspective, right? Just look at the sentiment here. If all the retail traders are short, where do you want to trade? You want to trade with the institutions, you're right. You want to trade where they're trading, and they're not going to trade short because they're not going to make money if they let these people win. They need to make these people lose, and that's how they make their money. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, looking at US 30, I'll go ahead and draw my zones up here. I don't think there's going to be very many zones because price is it's in an area where it hasn't been before. It's at an all-time high. So looking at this here, I'm going to mark this up right there. I'm going to mark this up right here. And I mean, these lower zones are pretty irrelevant. So I'll just make some bigger zones. I'm not going to tighten anything up because there's just no point. Price is way too far. There's really no reason for us to tighten these up all too that much. All right. So looking at that there, you guys can see that these zones help out a lot because you can identify these perfect rejection points, right? In order to get these higher zones, we're probably gonna have to go in the shorter time frame because there's not gonna be anything on the higher since prices hasn't been in this area in ever really. I can't really tell if there's any other time that price has been in this area. So we'll go ahead and draw this lower zone right here. And we always want to have a ceiling. So I'll go over here on the 5 minute and we have the ceiling right above here. All right. So looking at this here, let's go ahead and go back on the 1 hour. All right. So you guys can see here that, those upper zones are basically irrelevant at this point because they're so small, like they're not really going to make a difference. So just looking at this here, I'll turn on the momentum indicator. And, our same analysis that we've used previously, works out perfectly right here. So I'll show you how clean of an example this is. So like, for example, we'll start from this bottom here. You can see that price rejects off this point. We get a buy signal. It breaks structure, and what happens from that point? It pushes up to here, right? Pushes up to here, rejects off that point, comes back down, rejection from here, buy signal right here, breaking close past the structure right here, and then from this point over here, it does the same thing, pushes up to the next structure all the way over here. Once price breaks structure again right here, what happens from this point? Same pattern, pushes up again over here. So check this out, Jay. So we have the same pattern again, right? Rejection off this point, buy signal, it pushes up to this next structure. What we're looking for is for price to break above here. Or we want price to break and close above here for another possible bullish move. But like I was mentioning, this is heavily manipulated right now. So I wouldn't really trade this at random, right? Only trade it if you see, some sort of entry here. So looking on the 1 hour here, it's just a ton of manipulation, right? Like US 30 shouldn't be this high. There's no reason for it to be this high. There's nothing in the news that's causing the US 30 to push that high. The only reason it's pushing up like that is because the institutions are trying to squeeze all these people out. This is like what you would call a short squeeze, right? A short squeeze is where people are shorting the market and they're trying to squeeze them out. There's like so many people that are short here. The institutions are just squeezing them out, right? And the reason for that, that analysis is like, so people have been shorting the market since, let me just turn this off here. People have been shorting the market since March 4th, right? Since like last week, people just keep, like what happens is it's a psychological thing. People see this all-time high right here, right? They see this all-time high right here, and I'll just mark this up for you. They see this all-time high, and what happens is people try to enter short positions right here because they're like, oh, it's at all-time high, it has to drop, right? So people enter shorts right here, and what happens? The institution pushes price up and squeezes out all of those short sellers. Like you guys just got to use look at things from a psychological perspective. If all the retail traders are looking for shorts here, like what's the institution's going to do? Like if I leave that zone right there, let me just mark that up again. I'll change the color so you guys can see. So if you guys can see this right here, color this blue, and I'll just rewind it. This is called a short squeeze. So like what happens is price reaches the all-time high right here. And then what happens is people enter short positions right there, right? As soon as people enter short positions, institutions let it drop a little bit to lure these people in. They try to like hype up the shorts. So they let people enter these shorts right here and they let prices drop. And then when you least expect it, it just skyrockets. Because what happens is people enter the short positions right here. So what happens is I go back over here. They see the rejection off the all-time high right here, right? The old all-time high, which would be right here, all-time high right there. And then people enter their short positions right here, right? Their stop losses are going to be around this area. It's going to be like above that all-time high and around that area. And they let the short sellers think that price is going to drop. So they do this right here. This looks like a very nice drop, right? They're like, oh, it's an all-time high. It has to drop. When you least expect it, it shoots all the way back up, right? See how perfect that was? I didn't even know that it was going to be right there, but everyone puts their stop loss at the previous all-time high right there, right? So they stop them out. And then what happens here? It's the same pattern. It's another short squeeze. They go back over here. They try to lure some more people in for some sells here. See that this drops again right here. What happens here? Same thing. People enter short positions. Their stop loss is going to be slightly above there. They try to trick them. They let them think it's going to drop. And then what happens from this point? Stop them out again, right? So this is a typical short squeeze right here. This is why I wouldn't mess with these, because they're just trying to trap short sellers. So, going back to my analysis right now, let's take everything off. Going to my analysis again right here. This is, they might be squeezing some more shorts out again, for example here. So like until the sentiment lowers, the sentiment is just too high, guys. Just keep that in mind. When the sentiment is super high, there's people shorting the market, right? If there's 80% of people shorting the market, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to get squeezed out. So with all those people shorting, they're probably going to drop price slightly. So don't fall for this trap, guys. This trap was getting played out all last week. They're probably going to bring price down shortly right here. And then what happens from that point? When they bring price down to there, people enter short positions. Their stop loss is going to be right here, like slightly above the structure, or slightly above the previous all-time high right there. And they'll just drop price slightly, a little bit. And then when you least expect it, stopped out everybody. And when that happens, it creates liquidity in the market and it pushes price higher and higher. So I personally wouldn't enter US 30 just yet. If you're going to enter for some scalps and towards the upside. Because if you do, if you hop into here and you try to go for that big move, you can get lucky and you can actually catch, a pretty decent move, but I don't think it's ready to drop yet. Eventually it'll drop once this number right here shortens. It's still 80%. So I'd wait for it to drop to maybe like 70%, maybe high 60s, and then you can start shorting it. But right now, it just doesn't look safe to me. So we'll see how that plays out. Let me see if the sentiment is different on this website over here. Let's see, US 30. Nah, dude, check this out. There's still 82% of people short off US 30. I'm not going to mess with US 30 today, guys. I do, it's going to be for some small scalps, not going to be anything crazy. So just keep that in mind. That's it for US 30 right there. I'll look at the other indices right now and I'll see if there's anything else for us to look at. But if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat and then I can take a look. So I'm not going to look at any of these over here. Like I mentioned, I'm only going to be looking for proper scalps off the 10-minute right here. All right. So I'm going to draw my zones up over here so that we can start looking for some scalps. The lower zones are pretty irrelevant, so I'm not going to draw those. Marcus said, I don't think it's dropping ever, Shawn. I mean, we'll see, Marcus. It can't keep pushing up. This is an artificial move right here. This bullish move right here, there's no reason for it to be that high. We're in the middle of a pandemic and they just sent out stimulus, right? The stimulus is going out. There isn't really much here causing that push up. It's an artificial push. And if you guys look at the different news, like if you guys just Google like market crash, you'll see so many different analysis indicating that this move isn't real. This is all, you know, a manipulated push up by the institutions because they're just trying to pump the price. And then when you least expect it, it's going to come crashing down, like crash, like not even small crashing down. I think like worse than what happened in March, right? So if you guys remember what happened in March right here, look at this big drop right here. This thing dropped like, how much did it drop? Like 11,000 pips? Not even like 111,000. It was like 11,000 points. So if it's 11,000 points, that's like 100,000 pips that dropped. So I think a drop is going to be further than that. It's going to drop probably like way down there. I don't know when it's going to happen, guys. Don't quote me on it, but it's going to happen eventually. You know, it's the market just can't keep pushing up like that. Unless something happens where like COVID is completely resolved, then we can probably see it. But I don't know. We'll see, guys. You know, when that time happens, then we'll reanalyze it. And I'll remind you guys to look back at the live session on March 14th. I'm like, yeah, I told you guys it was going to drop. And it's going to drop eventually, but we'll see. Probably not today, probably not tomorrow, probably not this month. But eventually, maybe by next year, it'll drop. And that's why I don't have any money in the stock market right now. Like I already cleared out all my retirement accounts. I don't have any any stocks that I'm holding at this point. I'm just buying some Bitcoin. That's pretty much it. Let's see. Yeah, Marcus said, yeah, I told you they want that money back. Exactly, right? Right, Marcus, they're just going to keep pushing price up and up. Yeah, John said stimulus pumps money into the market. Yeah, exactly. That's, you know, the whole word stimulus is that they're stimulating the market. So when they stimulate the economy, it's going to stimulate the market and price is just going to keep pushing up. So we'll see. Yeah, John said COVID vaccine is working. It said that COVID vaccine is equivalent to a $5 trillion stimulus. Yeah, John, I don't know if you heard, but on Monday, it's supposed to be available to all of us. I don't know if it's everyone in Orange County. I know in San Diego, they're making the vaccine available to everyone. So I'm not sure if it's like that here in OC, John. But if that's the case, you know, I might go catch the vaccine in San Diego this weekend or next weekend if it becomes available. So, I mean, we'll see. You know, obviously, we're not gonna predict where the market's gonna go. What we're gonna do is we're gonna react to how price reacts to certain news events. So if we see this drop, we're gonna take some sells. If price continues to push up, we'll take some buys. But until then, there isn't really much for us to really look at tonight. So yeah, if you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the chat so that we can take a look. Otherwise, you know, we're going to sign off early tonight and we'll catch this back again tomorrow morning when the market is back in a full swing. So let's go through all the indices real quick. I'll see if there's any entries that were available today. Let's see. Okay, so looking at the Aussie 200 right here. No entries available just yet. The looks like the most recent entry would have been right over here, actually. So we got a zone right there. The most recent entry for the Aussie 200 would have been right here, actually, this afternoon. Let me see if there's another zone down here. No, I think that's it. So looking at this here, guys, looks like the Aussie 200 gave a buy entry. See, not even that long ago. The most recent entry would have been this green candle right here. We had a rejection off the pivot and a rejection off the structure. So if you took this signal right here, or this entry, this would have been a buy entry right there for about full TP if your TP was about 150 pips. I'm not sure what the sweet spot is for the Aussie 200, but if you took that trade, full TP off that one. See if there's any other scalps here that were available. The China 50. Let me look at the zones up here. So like I mentioned before, guys, I don't trade these indices, but we do have traders in K2 that are located like everywhere. So a few guys who are located in Australia, you guys trade the Aussie 200. So you guys probably caught that move earlier. Some of our traders here located in Singapore. If you trade the China 50, I know a lot of you guys trade the China 50. That's the only reason why I have it on my watch list, because you guys asked for it. I don't necessarily trade it, but if you guys were trading the China 50, there's another entry that was available right here off this red candle. I'm just looking at the most recent entry. So right here, you could have entered off this green candle or this red candle. Either one, if you entered, they would have hit full TP right there. So you guys can see how accurate the strategy works, and you guys can see how everyone in K2 profits off this, right? Like all these profits here, let me look at William. So William is the dude that he trades all the indices. If you guys sat in on the live session yesterday, you guys would have seen William, his profits. Let me see if I can find it. Or actually, I'll just go over here. William. Yeah, so William just joined K2 last week. He was like, made 63 euros from free money. Love this strategy. So he trades every index. He trades the Dow 30, the DAX 30, UK 100, the Nasdaq 100, the China 50. He's the only person I know that trades the China 50, aside from our other traders here from Singapore. But look here, he traded the China 50 for a sell right there. He made $2 off that, or 2 euros. And you guys can see here that, this strategy works pretty well for all indices, not just all indices, but pretty much all assets in general. So if you guys traded that, nice profit off that. The Spain 35, he trades that too, I think. Let me see. I saw it on his chart the other day. But yeah, I personally don't trade this, but if you guys are from Spain, I know we have some traders here from Spain. I mean, a lot of you guys in Europe are going back into lockdown, so that should give you some time to trade, especially since you guys have a lot more free time over there right now, since you guys are going to, you guys are going to have much to do with the lockdown back in effect. I mean, it sucks for you guys, but this will probably give you time to, focus on these charts and make something out of this trading thing. So anyways, look at the Spain 35. There's an entry that's available right here. There's a couple entries actually, this red, green, and green candle right here. So any of these right here, if you took any of those candles, you would have hit full TP right there off the Spain 35. So that's it for that one right there. The French 40 for you guys here that are located in France or in Paris, or yeah, France, sorry. I was confused with the city and the actual country. So if you guys are located in France, this is the French index right here, France 40. So if you guys took this looks like there was a couple entries that were available here today as well. So same situation over here, rejection off the K2 pivot and structure. If you took this was actually on Friday on the 12th. If you guys took that, full TP off this as well. So you guys can see that it doesn't matter where you're located or like what assets you guys like to trade. There's a lot of opportunities that are available for you guys. So here's the DAX 30. It's super choppy. I probably wouldn't even trade this because it's too messy. But let's see if there's anything that was available today. I'm more interested with trades that are available today because last week is irrelevant, right? So don't be too caught up with like last week's moves because it's a brand new week. So just forget about last week. Look at what's going on now, and improvise on what you can from this week. So looking at the DAX 30 from today, let's see. So the most recent entry, I'm just going back from current price, right? So we have a entry right here. I wouldn't have taken this because there's an entry from both sides. There's an entry above and there's an entry below. So I wouldn't even take this trade here. It looks like price is choppy anyways. So I wouldn't have taken any of these entries here with the price just going sideways. We'll look at the Japan 225 for you guys that are located in Japan. So we'll see if there's any scalps that are available here. Let's see. All right, just looking at this here. This looks super choppy too, so I probably wouldn't mess with this, to be honest, guys. It's just whenever stuff's just too choppy, I just don't bother trading it. I'll try to make like official videos for this strategy soon. I'm just still trying to figure out the kinks to make sure that everything's perfect, so that when you guys learn this, you guys don't have to learn anything else after. You guys can just focus on this, and you guys should be good to go. But a lot of you guys are killing it already with it currently. So look at the Japan 225. There's a bunch of buy entries that were available right here. Like this whole area is full of buys. So depending if you took any of those, which I wouldn't have taken, it's just too choppy. You guys probably could have locked in some profits here, but I personally wouldn't have traded that. All right, UK 100. Let me see if there's any entries here. Nothing from today yet necessarily. I mean, if there's something there, then I'll call it, but there's nothing there right now. So looking at this here, yeah, no entries available here. So let's move on to the next one. S&P, nothing here, I don't think either. All right, let me zoom out from this point. All right, so looking at this here, doesn't look like there were any entries for the S&P. Move on to the Nasdaq. I looked at that already. There was an entry there. Back to US 30 over here. No entry here yet. So I think that's it for the indices, guys. I'll go down the Forex pairs real quick, see if there's any entries here. Otherwise, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to be logging off early tonight. And then I'll be back tomorrow morning for the normal trading session. This session, I was just drawing up the zones for you guys so that you guys can see. But other than that, the market is still very, very slow right now. So there's not really much for us to take. So looking at Usdchf right here, this might be a valid sell. We have a rejection from this point. Sell signal right here. If this closes below the structure, we'll take a sell right there. This will probably be like a 50 pip move or so. Or maybe less. I don't really like this pair that much. Maybe less than that, 40. Okay, maybe like 35. Or I'll just go for 40. Screw whatever. So I'll keep watching this. If I see this later, this candle closes in about an hour and 54 minutes. So I'll mark this up right here to check in about an hour or so, see if there's any entries available. Other than that, I don't see anything available there. I'm not going to take that, even though there's an entry available there. CHFJPY, nothing there. For this right here, Euro odd, we have a rejection from this point. We have a buy signal here. If price ends up pushing up above the structure and closes above here, then we'll take a buy. Right there. Next up, Euro CAD, nothing there. Euro CHF, EG, EJ, Euro NZD, nothing there. EU, nothing there. GA. So this would technically be an entry if this closes. We have a rejection from that point. A buy signal right here. It broke and closed past the structure from below here. Or actually it didn't. So actually there's no entry here. Sorry, I take that back, guys. No entry there. GCAD, nothing there. GCHF, nothing there. And this is normal, guys. Market is just opening up. Volatility is at all-time low. There's not really much for us to take. You know, everything here is risky right now. So we're not really looking to force any trades. We're only looking to take trades if there's actually something available. USDCHF, this might be an entry. Is there a rejection from this point? Buy signal right here. We can probably enter a late entry. So I'll just put like a buy stop right here possibly. And then we'll probably just catch that as it pushes up. All right, so I'll mark that up just in case. USDJPY, nothing there. And that's about it, guys. So I went down the entire watch list right here, about 24 pairs. I also went down the entire indices list right here, about 10 pairs right there. Other than that, we don't have any questions. So I think that might be it for tonight, guys. You know, if you guys have any other questions, just pop up in the chat and I can answer them there. Otherwise, I'm gonna log off for tonight and then I'll catch you guys here tomorrow morning for the normal trading session. Once everything's full and running tomorrow, like fully open and up and running, then we can pick up some more trades. But right now, obviously, you know, I went down this entire list, like literally nothing is moving. So until stuff starts to move, then we can start taking some trades. Otherwise, until then, you know, we're just gonna be chilling. Let's see. Toon's asking, is the USD strong overall? Let me check that out. So if you guys ever want to check how strong a currency is, you guys can just pull up the index right here. So Toon, if you ever want to look to see how strong the dollar index is, or the dollar, just type in DXY right here, and then you can see how strong the dollar index is. If price is going down, that means that the US dollar currency is weak. Vice versa, if it's going up, that's gonna mean that it's strong. So you can see obviously it's trying to break above these pivots. So it's trying to push up, but I think it's going to be weak. So the reason for it being weak is that we just got stimulus, right? So it's going to be strong temporarily, but it's not going to hold. Reason for that is because the stimulus is going to stimulate the economy temporarily, but when they start printing money, like they start printing US dollars, it's going to weaken the strength of the US dollar, because if they keep printing more money, it's just going to weaken its value, right? So currently right now, I don't see it being that strong, Tune. But if you ever want to look at how strong each currency is, just pull up my watch list. I have every currency here. They're marked with a blue flag. So right here is the Australian dollar index. You can see how strong the Aussie dollar is. You can see the Canadian dollar index right here. You can see how it's pushing up, so it's strong. The Swiss franc index right here, the Euro index, the pound index, the New Zealand dollar index, and the Japanese yen index right here. So just looking at this here, Tune, you can just pull up DXY, and then you can check that out. Let's see, Lloyd's asking about AU. So let me go to AU real quick. All right, so looking at AU right here, Lloyd, we have a rejection from this point. We have a bearish bias because the most recent signal was a sell right here. However, we got a lot of structures here, right? So I would wait for this to break below this structure. If that happens, then it'll probably keep pushing. And the reason for that is just looking at previous data right here, right, Lloyd? So if you look at previous data, we had a rejection from this point, sell signal, push down to the next structure right here, right? It comes down all the way down here, retracement up here, same pattern, rejection from this point, sell signal, and what happens from that point? Pushes all the way down here, right? Back for that retracement, rejection, sell signal. What do you think is going to happen here, Lloyd? It's probably going to come down, right? So one way to look at this is we will pair the Aussie index with the dollar index right here, right? So I'll go here on the hourly. Let's see how strong this is. So the Aussie index is just going sideways right now, right? So in order for odd USD to drop right here, this would need to go down and this would need to go up. So you can see right here, it's trying to push up, right? The dollar index is trying to push up. So if it continues pushing up here and this continues to drop, then we can see this go down. Because if price is going down, that means that the US dollar is stronger than the Aussie dollar. Vice versa, if price is going up, that's going to indicate that the Aussie dollar is stronger than the US dollar. So for right now, I mean, I wouldn't take it right now because everything is just going sideways. Until this drops further and this keeps going back up, then you would see that odd USD would drop. I mean, obviously we have a sell bias, but we're not going to know what's going to happen up until tomorrow. Yeah, so Lloyd said if it breaks the current low, it could possibly go lower, right? Yeah, I agree. So yeah, definitely. I mean, if that happens, yeah, it'll probably drop, Lloyd, but you have to take other things into consideration. You got to look at the index for both currencies, and you got to check the news. I think there's a lot of Aussie news this week. So let me go to the calendar. So we had Aussie news today about 4 hours ago. And then we got Aussie news tomorrow. We got Aussie news all week, actually. We got Australian dollar news every day, basically. So I'd be careful with the Aussie USD. But, like I mentioned, I would just look at the index. If this drops and this goes up, then you can sell it. And if it breaks below this structure right here, let's see, I'll probably drop a little bit right there, 20 pips. And then if it closes below here, it'll drop even further, like 48 pips. So I think that's it for tonight, guys. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out on Telegram. Otherwise, I'll be back here tomorrow morning. So just a reminder, I go live every morning at 6:30 a.m. So if you guys want to hop in on the live session tomorrow, I will be trading live tomorrow. So if you guys want to hop on that, we can catch some trades. It looks like there's a buy right here, actually. I don't know if anyone's looking to take this, right? I'm kind of tempted to take this trade right here. Let me see if I want to take this or not. All right, so I might take this trade right here. It's a little scalp, nothing too crazy. Let me check the price difference real quick. Price difference FTMO is going to be 3880. All right, 3887. So 32885 minus 32872. Pricing is different by like 13 pips, not a big difference. So I'll take a small position right here. All right. So I got this position running right here. I just got to subtract this by like 10 pips. So let me see where this is at. It's a risky trade, guys. So if you guys want to take it, feel free. If not, that's cool. But I'm just itching for a trade, guys. Like I've been chilling all week. I'm ready for a trade. I want to make some money. So let's see. This is lower than the other one. Okay, so I'll subtract it by 5. 38215. 328,915. All right, yeah, I think I should be good. All right, I got my TP stop loss set up. So if you guys want to enter this trade, feel free. If not, that's cool. But I'm in this trade right now. So I'm going to set up some alerts for this. I entered kind of late, but whatever. I'm not going to cry over like 5 pips. Not a big deal. US 30 scalp number 1, full TP. And the reason I'm taking this is because sentiment is so low. I think price is going to keep pushing up. All right, cool. I'll send this to you guys over here in the premium as well. So send this over to you guys over here. I'll send it to you guys in the free group as well. So take this 18. Set this K2 US 30 snipe scalp off the live session today. If anyone wants to hop in. All right, so I shared that with you guys there. I'll share it in the other groups as well. If you guys want to take it, feel free. It's up to you guys. Risky trade, but I'm itching for a trade right now, guys. I want you to make some money. I've been chilling for too long this week. I'm in profit right now, so that's cool. I'm profit about $100. So if you guys want to take it, take it. If not, it's all good. I'm taking it's a small lot. This is on my 200K account that I'm doing for FTMO. I took a 5 lot, so I'm in profit about $100 right now. Not a big deal, but we will. We'll see how this plays out. Got my TP stop loss set up, so I'm good. Marcus said, "LOL, stop looking at the chart, Shawn. You could have waited until tomorrow." I know, you guys are right. I could have waited. So this is why I need to get offline, because if I keep staring at these charts, I'm going to take these trades and I'm going to make dumb moves. So I think that's it for tonight, guys. Thanks for showing up. I'll be here tomorrow morning. So we'll see how this plays out. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning for the live session, the actual live session. This is just the chart analysis. This isn't even a live session right now that we're supposed to be having. But yeah, so I'll catch you guys tomorrow. If you guys have questions, just reach out on Telegram. Otherwise, I will catch you guys here tomorrow for the live session. So thanks for showing up, guys.